Good morning, everyone. My name is Susan Moriarty, and I'm the Executive Director of the Tennessee YMCA Center for Civic Engagement. It is my privilege to welcome you to the 68th Annual Youth and Government Conference. We know this isn't the conference you expected. It's not the conference we expected either. But we are so grateful that you've chosen to be here, and we look forward to a fantastic weekend working with all of you. Between our 3 high school conferences and our 3 middle school conferences, the CCE will serve more than 1,200 middle school and high school students from across the state of Tennessee. I want to take a moment to thank all of the people whose hard work and dedication have made this conference possible. To our teachers, who have been juggling assignments and communicating with students during unprecedented uncertainty. Thank you. To our volunteers, who have still managed to take time out of their busy lives to assist us in bringing this conference into the digital world. Thank you. To Governor Bill Lee, members of the Tennessee General Assembly and their staff, the Tennessee Supreme Court, MPNF, and the Tennessee Bankers Association, who continued our long-standing tradition of meeting with our officers and governor's cabinet members virtually this year. Thank you. And most of all, to our officers and our delegates, whose passion for civic engagement and making our state a better place is undeterred by a Zoom setting. Thank you. We can't imagine what this year would have been like without your enthusiasm, your support, and your participation. It truly makes a difference. Enjoy this weekend, show off all your hard work, and make some new friends.
My name is Elise Duggar, and I'm the Associate Director of the YMCA Center for Civic Engagement. The conference app is essential to your YIG experience this year. A couple weeks ago, you received an email at the address you used to register for the conference entitled YIG App 2021. This email contained instructions for logging into the conference app. If you can't find this email, just let Tyler, Susan, or myself know, and we will resend it to you. Instructions are also available on our website or later on in this video on how to download and log in. The app can be accessed from your web browser or your mobile device. Logging into the app is essential and allows you to join the secure Zoom sessions for each session, as well as access tons of helpful features like personalized schedule, delegate messaging, House and Senate dockets, dynamic legislation, informational pages, conference updates, and election info. If you're not logged in yet, pause this opening and make sure you're all set up. Before the conference begins, here are a couple reminders on Zoom etiquette. 1, make sure you're in business attire, just like at a normal in-person YIG conference. 2, if you have to leave the room, please turn off your video. 3, keep yourself on mute unless you're being recognized to speak. 4, the chat should only be related to conference material during sessions. And last, but certainly not least, make sure all that you do and all that you say is in keeping with the YMCA core values of honesty, caring, respect, and responsibility. We do have a limited amount of conference merchandise available for purchase. You can order shirts, sweatshirts, and stickers from our online store. We will ship them to you after the conference is over. If you're interested in a 2021 YIG book, we've got you covered. This year, we are creating a commemorative book that features all 3 conferences, and that book will ship out after the last YIG conference once we've printed the book. It will have information and bills from all 3 conferences, including award winners and contributions from every single component.
My name is Tyler Dorr, and I am the Program Director of the YMCA Center for Civic Engagement. The last year has been challenging, socially. I know that I miss seeing everyone gathered together at the Capitol for the conference, but youth in government is not a place, it's an idea. That when we come together, collaborate, we can build something greater than anything we could do alone. That's why we've asked you here, to share your ideas, to advance your perspective, to collaborate with your peers, and to unmute yourself. However, we're not only challenging you to use your platform for yourself, but to amplify the ideas and voices of your peers. Throughout the weekend, look for opportunities to amplify and listen and try to minimize distraction and drowning out. After all, youth in government doesn't work unless we can all hear each other. We're also offering lots of chances to interact with delegates in a more casual setting, Although these evening sessions are completely optional, I encourage you to put yourself out there and meet some new people. Tomorrow, we'll be hosting a game night doing team trivia, so grab a couple of friends or some new people from committee and come join the fun. Saturday night, we'll be hosting our classic tomfoolery committee, so submit your best resolutions and bring your A game. We're also hosting game night round 2, so we hope to see you there. If you need anything this weekend, Susan, Elise, and I, your teachers, and our conference staff are here to help you. Most importantly, your 2021 officers are here to lead you. Please help me welcome the presiding officers for the 68th Annual Tennessee YMCA Youth in Government Conference. Officers, it's time to unmute yourself.
My name is Ansley Skipper, and I'm your governor.
My name is Ria Patel, and I'm your Chief of Staff.
My name is Anissa Yusuf, and I'm your Lieutenant Governor of the Red Senate.
My name is Philip Eigen, and I'm your floor leader of the Red Senate.
My name is Erica Friedman, and I'm your floor leader of the Red Senate.
My name is Ome Farah, and I'm the clerk of the Red Senate.
My name is Eden Sekwat, and I'm the clerk of the Red Senate.
My name is Parth MISHRA, and I'm your Red Chief Engrossing Clerk.
My name is Heba Al-Ali, and I'm your Lieutenant Governor of the Blue Senate.
My name is Olivia Felker, and I'm your Speaker Pro Temp of the Blue Senate.
My name is Chris YARBRO, and I'm your Speaker Temp of the Blue Senate.
My name is Lydia West, and I'm your floor leader of the Blue Senate.
My name is KYAN RAMSAY, and I'm your clerk of the Blue Senate.
My name is Dia Rasul, and I'm your Speaker of the Red House.
My name is Sonia Shrivastava, and I'm your Speaker Pro Temp of the Red House.
My name is Holden Corby, and I'm your floor leader of the Red House.
My name is Caroline Powell, and I'm your clerk of the Red House.
My name is Soumya Sandal Kumar, and I'm your Speaker of the Blue House.
My name is Zulman Kim, and I'm your Speaker Pro Temp of the Blue House.
My name is Lily Grace Stone, and I'm your Speaker Pro Temp of the Blue House.
My name is Saad Ali, and I'm the floor leader of the Blue House.
My name is Edie McClure, and I'm your clerk of the Blue House.
My name is Tessa Bentley, and I am your Chief Justice.
My name is Laura Isaacs, and I'm one of your Associate Justices.
My name is Uma Claire, and I'm your Associate Justice.
My name is Brianna Ryan, and I'm your Associate Justice.
My name is Will Schuessler, and I'm your Associate Justice.
My name is Harmon Colvette, and I am your Attorney General.
My name is Allison Marquez, and I'm your Clerk of the Court.
My name is Erica Wisby, and I'm your Head Lobbyist.
My name is MISHRA White, and I'm your Social Media Director.
Stick around. Up next, we'll be talking about how to navigate the virtual conference, receiving a welcome from Governor Skipper, hearing from our keynote speaker and the candidates running for office for YIG 2022.
We'll be running a Red House and Senate chamber as well as a Blue House and Senate chamber this year. Bills that are ranked well in committee will move on to the chamber session where they will be voted on. Bills that pass both chambers will be sent to Governor Skipper for a signature to become law. Throughout the weekend, we'll also be accepting dynamic legislation. Dynamic legislation can come from any component as long as there is a House or Senate sponsor attached to the bill. Join any House or Senate meeting throughout the weekend to be directed to the Dynamic Bill Workroom, where you can meet with potential sponsors. Once your legislation is complete, submit it through the Dynamic Legislation section of the app so it can be prepared for presentation during the next session. Remember, you'll need a representative or a senator to make a motion to introduce the bill.
This weekend, lawyers will argue a real-life Tennessee Supreme Court case. Teams will represent both sides of the case, and the other justices and myself will judge the case winners accordingly. On Saturday night, our top teams will receive a new case, the final case, to argue on Sunday morning. If you have any questions about constitutionality throughout the conference, you can get in touch with our Attorney General, Harmon Colvette.
The GovCab will support the governor throughout the weekend, assisting her with the state of the state, conducting research and debating bills that are sent to the governor, and preparing a balanced budget to be submitted to the legislature during Sunday morning session. We'll also be discussing budgetary proposals and monitoring the executive branch of the state to provide a speedy response to any crisis that comes our way.
Your lobbyists will spend the weekend advocating for and against different pieces of legislation. In addition to partnering with delegates to accomplish our goals, we're also a great resource for research, advocacy, and help with dynamic legislation. Our component will be very flexible this year, willing to aid and support any and all legislation or projects that work for a healthier, safer, and more equitable Tennessee.
The press corps works all conference to bring you important information about the conference, Tennessee, and life. Make sure to follow the press corps on Twitter and Instagram at TNCCE Press and the YMCA Center of Civic Engagement at TNCCE to stay up to date on all things YIG. Updates will also be posted on the press corps section of the app.
My fellow Tennesseans, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to the 68th Annual Tennessee YMCA Youth and Government Conference. Just like most aspects of the last year, YIG will clearly look different this year. But now more than ever, the work we do here has been vital importance, both for the present and the future. At YIG, we future leaders will learn the processes and values which make a healthy democracy. We'll learn to compromise and to work with those with whom we disagree. And we will model for our state and our nation what a productive democracy looks like and what it can do. Our effective, thoughtful actions here can serve as an inspiration for our leaders. Through the work and power of our example, we can inspire our generation and future generations to take part in our democracy and to treasure our institutions. We also have the opportunity to demonstrate that in a democracy, civil disagreement is not only tolerated, but encouraged. I'm sure you all will disagree with me and with each other at some point during this conference, and you should. As long as we agree on our shared democratic values, we can and should disagree on individual policies and issues. And throughout this weekend, we will all have the opportunity to open our minds to new perspectives and perhaps even leave with new ideas and opinions. I hope that we all take the opportunity to make this conference what we hope to gain from it and to make the most of what could be disappointing circumstances. Let us treat each other with respect and empathy and let those values guide the policy decisions we make as we take leadership of our state for the weekend. All of us officers are here as resources for you, and we hope to help to make this conference everything you all want it to be. Have fun, make some new friends, but don't forget the gravity of the work we are called to do here. It is my honor to serve as your governor this year, and I hope to hear your ideas, experiences, and goals throughout this conference. And for those of you who are underclassmen, may you once again roam the halls of the Cordell Hull building in years to come. May God bless you, and may God bless the great state of Tennessee.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to the 68th Annual YMCA Youth in Government Conference. We're looking forward to a great week full of debate, laughter, tears, legislative triumph, and budgetary heartbreak. We're so glad that you all could join us virtually in your own homes. We just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about some conference features and the use of the conference app. To begin, you should have an email in your inbox that looks exactly like this one, except instead of my name right here, you're going to have your own. The subject line is YIG App 2021, so make sure you can find that email. If you can't, send Elise or I an email. Our emails are on the TennesseeCCE.org website, and we'll go ahead and get you hooked up with the app. The app contains all your Zoom links for the conference, as well as all the content related to the conference, and it's going to be crucial for successful navigation of the conference weekend. So make sure to get this figured out well in advance of the conference. The email contains instructions that walk you through how to set the app up on your phone and on your web browser. We definitely recommend using the web version of the app during the conference, as that's kind of the easiest way to navigate it and your Zoom windows at the same time. To open it on your web browser, just click this Login to App button right here. That is going to, and hold on to your seats for this one, log you into the app on your web browser. It's going to pull up a thing that looks exactly like this once you agree to our lengthy code of conduct. This is the app home screen. It contains a little bit of information about the event, as well as some reminders down here in case you are completely lost. But let's talk about the different things that you can do with the app. First of all, you'll notice the date up top. This is super helpful in case you forget what time it is or what you are doing. You've got your account name right here. This is going to let you edit your profile if you want to include any extra information about your bill or your legislative goals, as well as upload a profile picture that can make it easier for conference attendees to find you. Up here you got notifications. Every time a notification gets pushed during the conference, it's going to appear right here. So check this for reminders about elections or the posting of different dockets and things like this. From the home page of the app, you'll see this sidebar that's going to stay in place as you navigate around the app. Use the event guide to get to the different places you need to go. We'll go ahead and start with the schedule. The schedule contains all of the conference sessions, and this is also where the Zoom links are housed. So navigating the schedule is going to be crucial throughout the weekend. I'll point out that the schedule automatically adjusts to the time zone that your computer is in. You can see I'm in Central Standard Time, so all the times it's showing me are going to be in Central Standard Time. By default, you can see every conference session here, as well as the different times they start. But if you want a more granular view, you can also search through for different things. So if we're looking for Supreme Court, we can find all the Supreme Court sessions by searching that. You can also use this filter button and filter by the tag of the component you're in. By clicking this little plus, you can also add things to your schedule, which you can find over here in the My Items part of the event guide sidebar. Of course, finding your event is only half the battle. So once you find the session you want to join, just click on it to get more information. It's going to pop up some additional controls you can use to add this to your schedule or bookmark a session. The description for each session contains the meeting ID and passcode, in case you need to use that manually to join the Zoom meeting. But in most cases, you're going to be able to get in just by clicking this red button right here. This should launch the Zoom meeting and automatically fill in the meeting ID and passcode for you. So one click should be enough to get you into any Zoom session that you need to go to. They are different for each session, so make sure that you're always selecting the session that is in the right time slot. Next, you'll see the YIG help form. This is sort of the bat signal for our CCE team, so if you need any sort of conference troubleshooting throughout the weekend, you're having trouble getting into a session, or your internet is acting weird or anything like that, you can just use that YIG help form, and that will be the quickest way to alert a member of our team that you need assistance, and we'll email you back as quick as we can. Also, from the event guide sidebar, you're going to be able to access the delegates. This is a fully filtered, searchable list of all the conference delegates sorted by component and school. So if you're looking for some collaborators for dynamic legislation, you'll be able to find them here. Clicking on someone's specific profile is going to show you their bill number and give you options to take notes, to message them, or to add a contact if you want to collaborate on legislation but don't have another way of communicating. The conference book is also on the app, so you can click this YIG conference book. We've got a link to a constantly updated online version of the book, as well as a PDF of it if you prefer to do things that way. You can navigate whichever one you like, and it's going to be updated at specific times with all the new dynamic legislation and things that get added throughout the conference weekend. We've got a button over here for every component. This is where you're going to access all the content related to that component. So if we click GovCab, we can see all the members, the packets, the budget proposals, and the bills signed into law from the GovCab. Those of you in the House of Representatives will use this to find your House committees, the dockets for each one, as well as a smaller PDF that contains only the bills that are going to be debated in that committee. This is also where you'll access things like dynamic legislation and the intent speaker list when those get posted. YIG Officers and Elections is going to be your one-stop shop for information about this year's officers, as well as those striving to hold those offices next year. You can find a current list, the ballot, and then Saturday, once voting is active, the voting link will be live via this section of the app. Social media down here contains all of the Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook handles that you will need to follow the Center for Civic Engagement on social media, something I highly recommend doing, both during and after the conference. The Tomfoolery Committee icon is also going to contain all the information about the Tomfoolery Committee that's going to be held at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Saturday night of the conference. This is always a super fun event, so I encourage everyone to get involved in some way, either by submitting legislation or coming with your hottest takes. The YIG merch icon is going to let you access our conference store where you can purchase shirts, sweatshirts, graduation cords, stickers, and the commemorative book once that is made available. For those of you in the legislature, you're going to spend most of committee filling out a committee ranking worksheet, which you can find in the House and Senate sections of the app. I'll go ahead and show you what that committee ranking worksheet looks like. Once you download it, it's going to look just like this. I highly recommend opening it on Excel if you can, as that's the program that formats it best. But if it's not working for you, you can always keep track of the same things via paper or another method. Now, only one person from your bill team needs to stay on top of this, although you should all collaborate together on your rankings. Up top here, you can fill in the names of everybody in your bill team. You can put your bill number. So let's say, and then down here you can choose your committee, House 1 through 4 or Senate 1 through 3. Clicking that is going to bring up all the bills that are in that committee over here on the side for you. And then you can click anywhere within this table right here to fill out your ranking for each bill. After every bill, you're going to be asked to rank it on 5 categories. Those 5 categories: innovation, feasibility, statewide impact, content and research, and presentation, are explained right here. There's instructions up top and then a further explanation of each ranking criteria below. You'll put a number between 1 and 5 in each of these boxes. 1 is the best, 5 is the worst. So let's say we just heard a really good bill here. You might rank it kind of like this. The sheet will automatically tabulate the totals for you and display it over here. So the total for this first bill that we heard is 8. And then you can move on and rank the second, third, fourth, etc. At the end of all this, you're going to be asked to transfer those totals to a Google form that, again, only one member of your team needs to fill out. Lastly, I'm sure that most of you are far more familiar with Zoom than you care to be, but I want to quickly go over a couple of features that may be unique to our conference. First, I highly recommend that you log into Zoom using the email address that you registered for the conference with. We have already sorted every conference session automatically with those emails, so the second you enter a session, we will be able to automatically sort everybody who's logged in, and then we'll have to manually sort those of you who are not. It's totally fine if you're not able to, or that email address doesn't allow a Zoom account. But if you can log in, it makes the sorting process just a little bit quicker for our team. Down here on the bottom left is your mute and unmute controls. Now at our conference, we ask you to stay muted until you are recognized, at which point we encourage you to unmute yourself by clicking this unmute button. You'll tell that you're unmuted because the red dash will disappear, and you'll see the green in the microphone bouncing around, indicating that the computer is picking up your audio. If you're ever having audio troubles throughout the weekend, you can hit this arrow right to the side of the microphone and select Test Speaker and Microphone, and that's going to fix most of the issues that you're having. Down here, similarly, you can see the start and stop video controls. Now, you don't need to have your video on for the entire conference, although we encourage it. It helps cultivate a better debate environment. But definitely turn your video off if you leave the room or are gone from the computer screen for any amount of time, and that'll cut down on distraction for your fellow delegates. By clicking the Participants button down here, you can pull up the Participants sidebar. This is going to list everybody that's in the meeting, should be alphabetically. When you see your name and hover over it, you'll have another option to mute and unmute yourself, and then this More button will let you rename yourself. We do ask that everybody name themselves according to conference convention, which is to start with your component, H for House, S for Senate, GC for GovCab, SC for Supreme Court, P for Press, and L for Lobbyists, a dash, your full name, a dash, and the high school that you attend. You can make that renaming official just by clicking the Rename button, and you should see your new name populate up here. There are certain sessions you might log into where we ask you to name yourselves differently. So just go ahead and listen for instructions as soon as you enter each session in case you need to change your name. At the bottom of the participant sidebar, you'll see a bunch of nonverbal feedback controls. Most important for our conference is the raise hand button. When you click it, a little blue hand icon will appear next to your name. It'll also appear in the top left of your participant window. This will indicate to are officers that you wish to be recognized, either because you have a technical question or wish to weigh in on con-pro debate. As long as your hand is raised, our officers will assume that you would like to be recognized to speak. So if somebody addresses your point or your question gets asked, you can go ahead and lower your hand by just clicking that button again, and it will take it down so they know not to call on you. Down here, you'll also find all your other nonverbal feedback controls: yes, no, go slower and go faster, which we use for motion. So if you'd like to indicate that you have a motion to make, hit that go faster button. That differentiates you from everybody who's trying to speak on technical questions, and we'll make sure our officers can recognize you to make your motion. Finally, many sessions are sorted into smaller breakout rooms. So the system will automatically ask you to join a breakout room when you're assigned, but if you ever need to do that manually, look for this series of 4 small squares down here, the breakout room icon. Clicking Join Breakout Room will show you the room that you're assigned to and let you join it. If you don't see that when you pop into a meeting, just hang tight for a second. It means our team needs to sort you. So just make sure that your name matches whatever our team is asking you to change it to, and sit tight. We'll get you sorted as quick as we can.
And now, Casey O'Shea, Hillsborough High, YIG alum, and former youth governor will give our keynote address.
I remember being a plebe at the Naval Academy in the summer of 1996, thinking, we're at the end of history. Freedom and democracy are triumphant around the world. We've whipped the Iraqis and the Russians. Today, the future of American democracy is balanced on the head of a pin. It can go either way, and the future is in your hands. Your generation will have to solve the monumental challenges of online disinformation, radicalization, polarization, the resulting erosion of democracy, economic stagnation, climate change. My name is Casey O'Shea, and this is my journey since serving as 1996 youth governor. I've worked for 7 members of Congress, presidential candidates, senators, and founded a national political consulting firm, 4C Message and Media. I've been a senior strategist during 2 wave elections in the U.S. House, where I helped elect dozens of members of Congress. I helped rebuild the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina and advised the world's largest companies and governments as a consultant in the private sector. I didn't come from a deeply partisan place. In fact, I volunteered on Bill Frist's 1994 Senate campaign. All I really knew was that I loved running political campaigns, and at the time I had no idea where this path would take me. After a stint as senior advisor at the DCCC in 2018, where I helped Democrats regain their House majority, I worked at the public policy epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic, as Chief of Staff to Representative Brad Schneider of Illinois, who sits on the powerful Ways and Means Committee, which oversees tax and trade policy and healthcare and is the primary legislative engine behind the COVID response. Brad also sits on the Small Business and House Foreign Affairs committees and is a leader in the fight against domestic terrorism and a pivotal voice on the U.S.-Israel relationship. My first big break in politics, I chose the wrong horse in the Tennessee governor's race and got a shellacking. I didn't know it at the time, but in 3 short years, I would be the youngest chief of staff on Capitol Hill. After we lost the primary, it got very hard to find work in Tennessee. So I went to North Carolina for a Senate primary race, lost big again. Next stop was Brad Miller, where we won an open seat congressional campaign. That led me to work in his congressional office, which was very boring for a campaign junkie like me, who at the time lived out of the back of a pickup truck. For the next year, I worked on races from Louisiana to Illinois to Iowa and Missouri for John Kerry's presidential campaign. The single thread running through all of this is the trust I built with the consultants and the party committees. Those mentors saw promise in me, but they got something out of the deal too. They knew they could trust me to get the job done. In early 2004, I got a fateful call from the DCCC. They asked me to manage Charlie Melançon's race for Congress. The incumbent was ill. We were expecting a rapid special election, whereupon I would go back to the Kerry campaign and get my dream office in the West Wing after we beat W. Instead, we ended up winning by about 500 votes in the December runoff after John Kerry had already lost in November. I became the youngest chief of staff in Congress at 26. In August of 2005, Hurricane Katrina destroyed the district. Meanwhile, Melançon was the top target in the country and sitting in a district that W won with 58% of the vote. Because of Katrina, we ended up championing a $100 billion bill to rebuild the Gulf Coast. Charlie was ranking member of the Select Committee to investigate the government's failures around Katrina, which gave him a national platform to tell the story of what happened and me the chance to learn how to run a congressional investigation. After nearly 3 years rebuilding the Gulf Coast, I was recruited by Rahm Emanuel's people to be the National Field Director at the DCCC for the 2008 cycle. We netted 20 seats in places like Alabama, Mississippi, and Idaho. And after 12 years, I finally graduated from college. And I wanted to change and pace afterwards, and to get to know the corporate world as well as I had come to know politics and government. So I joined a global management consultancy, FTI Consulting, where I worked for nearly a decade and went to Georgetown to get an MBA. At FTI, I advised governments through sovereign debt crises, served as chief of staff to the head of global business strategy for a Fortune 50 company during one of the most controversial mergers in recent history, and worked extensively on clean energy issues around the world. On election night of 2016, I predicted to some of my Republican friends that Trump would lead our country to insurrection, and I have the receipts in the form of text with them to prove it. They thought I was a paranoid partisan, but I was 100% correct. And I knew at that point that I wanted a way back in to serve my country. Big life lesson, be kind to your interns. In 2017, my former intern called me. He was now political director at the DCCC and invited me back to be the top fixer and chief campaign advisor at the committee. We won 40 seats and took back the House. After leaving the DCCC and joining Representative Schneider's office on January 6th, I had a front row seat to one of the lowest moments in American history, the Capitol insurrection. I watched the president incite his anti-democratic mob of domestic terrorists to violence. As I watched them and saw them march to the Capitol, I was in constant contact with Representative Schneider as he headed to the floor to vote to certify the election. I watched in horror as many people who I thought were good, responsible Republicans voted to enable the big lie that the election was stolen, the same rocket fuel that powered the mob of Trumpist terrorists who began to invade and defile our temple of democracy. Friends were trapped in their offices, bomb threats and reports of gunfire were coming in. Representative Schneider was captured in a now iconic picture on the front page of the New York Times. I lost contact with him for 45 minutes. I didn't know if he was alive or if he was dead. He got COVID after sheltering with a group of Republican lawmakers who refused to wear masks. We need a responsible middle that is willing to compromise to govern this country and keep it on a path to maintain its position in the world. There's no both sides here. One party has been captured and held hostage by those opposed to our democratic system, and the other stands in support of it. For those of you with conservative leanings, I implore you to steer away from authoritarianism and toward democracy. Your country needs you to reform a strong, principled conservative party and movement. Whether your children grow up free in a democracy or do not is up to you. America is no more than the sum total of our diverse ideas of what it should be. That this country should remain a democracy is something upon which both sides should be able to agree. I will never give up on her or democracy. If I have one message to you here today, it is that I ask you to join with me in that fight for our democracy. It's the greatest challenge of our time. Thank you to the YMCA for the invitation to speak and to you for listening.
And now, here are the speeches from the candidates running for office for YIG 2022.
Hello, my name is Cameron Adams, and I'm here to run for Speaker of the Blue House. This is my third year participating in YIG, and I have loved every minute of it, from choosing my bill topics to letting my voice be heard while presenting my bill, and all the way to the late nights staying up to rate speeches. While it's an exciting time, I know firsthand how scary and confusing this conference can seem for underclassmen who have never been a part of something like this before. That's why, if elected, I would work to make sure new delegates feel welcomed and are in an environment that fosters the newest generation of bright young thinkers. My platform this year are 3 issues that I believe need to be examined more closely, and I would love to see addressed from new delegates next year. Those include a focus on my local community of Nashville's homeless population and seeing that they are getting the resources they require due to ongoing effects from the ever-changing weather and our current COVID climate. I also believe that with the growing tension between law enforcement and Nashville citizens, trying to rebuild the trust gap between our law enforcement and the marginalized communities that they affect is a very crucial issue to solve that will involve new approaches from young minds. Lastly, across the state level, I believe that working to build a more inclusive environment in our school systems, both through our classrooms and our curriculum, should be a top priority, along with making sure we are safely and effectively opening up schools during COVID. These are issues that can and will be solved through encouragement and the right type of leadership. That's why I'm asking you once again to vote for me, Cameron Adams, for Speaker of the Blue House, because Cameron can do it.
Hello, fellow delegates. My name is Gracie Gerhart, and I'm running to be your next Youth in Government Speaker of the Blue House. I am sure that all of you are equally as sad as I am that we cannot be together in Nashville for the best weekend of the year. If we were there right now, I'm sure that I would be having flashbacks to the first time that I ever spoke in front of the entire delegation at 7th grade YIG, as I was drenched in sweat, visibly shaking, and probably holding back tears. I am very proud to say that I have grown into a much more confident, well-spoken, and less sweaty person, and I think that I owe a lot of my character development to YIG and Model UN. These programs give all of us a special outlet to express our opinions and to have our voices heard by peers who can help us grow our characters and expand our perspectives. Living in Memphis, I have seen firsthand the effects of extreme poverty and the huge wage gap that detriments 14% of our state. Education reform is the first step to creating a future in which all Tennesseans have more equal opportunities. My hope is that improved education will give a new generation the tools to succeed and to become the confident leaders that we need to propel Tennessee forward. We are all benefiting from our education and opportunities that empower our intelligence, like YIG. So my hope is that a quality education can be accessible to all Tennessee residents. I hope that you will consider voting for me, Gracie Gerhart, to be your next Speaker of the Blue House.
Hi, my name's KYAN RAMSAY, and I'm here to say that it's been a heck of a long year. We're surviving through a pandemic, World War III scares, killer wasps, an attempted government overthrow, etc. But even though we're tired, even though it's so tempting to ignore the events of the world occurring around us, I think it's important that we stay vigilant, which is why I strongly support legislation that supports and defends trans youth, at a time when more and more states have been passing anti-trans legislature. I also think it's important to create legislation that addresses the exponential rate at which hate crimes against the Asian American community have risen. It's imperative that we practice empathy and compassion in the support of our Asian American neighbors. And last, but certainly not least, we must continue the fight in defense of reproductive rights in Tennessee. Affordable and available methods of birth control are an absolute must. This year, I'm serving as clerk for the Blue Senate, and it would be an absolute honor to serve as your red Speaker of the House next year. This is much more than just a position for me. It's an opportunity to foster an open and inclusive YIG experience for all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is HITA MOHAN, and I'm running to be your Speaker of the Red House. It's April 6, 2018. I'm HITA MOHAN, and we freshmen sitting in-house have hazily raised my name card to slightly smack my partner, who was dozing off at the time, when I was called on. Shocked, I quickly read the bill, went up, and confidently asked, what about requiring front seatbelts? What about them? Let me just clarify, this bill talks about back seatbelts. In case you don't know, front seatbelts have been required for years. Now, the reason why you're privy to one of my most embarrassing moments is because in the middle of my asking that question, I burst out into laughter. This is somehow no surprise, because somehow that's what you spend most of YIG doing. Yes, there is the intense debate and the nervous butterflies, but even more so, the laughs, the smiles, and the memories. And I, as your Speaker of the Red House, promise to give you the same experience with laughs, smiles, and memories. And so I come to you dedicating to fixing child poverty. 15% of children live in areas associated with high crime rates and low social mobility. Tennessee children are more likely to live in poverty than in 41 other states. I come to you concerned with all the issues COVID has brought us, including fraud within loan programs and leave agencies. These are being taken advantage of and require help. And I come to you with the issue of accessibility, as not all Tennessee roads are car sidewalks, and the lack of accommodations such as ramps for disabled people in most buildings and stores. I hope you guys have a weekend full of laughs, smiles, and new memories. Remember, hit the MOHAN for Speaker of the Red House. Thank you.
Hello, my name is PARTH, MISHRA, and I'm running to be your Red Lieutenant Governor. I'd like to start off by reminding you of the world we live in. It is ever-changing and constantly growing with extraordinary potential to form fruits of development, modernization, and advancement. Yet humanity struggles to get hold of the benefits these fruits have to offer, and hence many societies fall behind others. I believe it is our job to help society progress for the betterment of all of us. In fact, as a servant leader, I seek to improve my own society. I go to schools to help tutor those in need in order to make a difference in the community that nurtures me. With over 130,000 lacking education in my community, I believe that education reform is of paramount importance by, for example, increasing funding and aid for schools. Having a mother who works for a rehabilitation center has made me passionate about resolving substance abuse too. With the abuse of substances like heroin up 300% in surrounding areas, I advocate for paths such as public awareness to combat this issue and even a re-evaluation of current laws on many substances. I care about reducing preventable diseases additionally, which is a growing problem in Tennessee. I believe that diseases such as diabetes and obesity can be taken under control by supporting awareness and bills encouraging lifestyle changes. As a current liaison, I have the honor of serving y'all. As Red Lieutenant Governor, I plan to help bring together the YMCA community in order to combat these issues and other pressing issues, use my experience to be a servant leader to you, enforce the YMCA core values, and of course, all while creating an enjoyable and informative time. Thank you.
Hello, fellow delegates. My name is Alexandra TOULIATOS, and I wore Birkenstocks to my 7th grade YIG conference. This may seem like an unimportant fact about my YIG experience, but literally who wears Birkenstocks to City Hall? Don't worry, I've upgraded my business attire as well as I've become much more aware of the world around me since then. I come to you as a candidate for Red Lieutenant Governor, very concerned about the drug abuse, violence, and connection between poor education and poverty in Tennessee. My bill this year addresses drug abuse-related issues, and I have many more thoughts on how to combat illegal drug usage and addiction in our state. As a Memphian, I hear about local crimes and gang violence almost daily, and I understand how much this problem needs to be addressed. And I, like all of you, frequently see the immense poverty that I believe is product of a flawed education system. I want to help address these issues, but to do so, I need your support. I truly love YIG, and I've looked forward to these conferences every year. I feel so privileged to be a candidate this year and to be part of a program where my voice will be heard. We're so lucky to have this safe and creative outlet that is further shaping us into a successful and impactful generation. I hope I have your support as Red Lieutenant Governor this year, so remember to vote Alexandra TOULIATOS.
If you're sitting here right now, that means that you share my love for this conference and you want answers. Regardless of YIG being virtual this year and having to adapt to our world in the pandemic, I'm just as excited to be part of this journey with you all. Hi, my name is SIDDIQUI, and I'm running to be your 2022 Tristar Governor. This is my 3rd year at YIG and my 2nd year serving in the Governor's Cabinet, which has given me experience assisting our past governors in direct decisions regarding your outstanding legislation. This time with my fellow commissioners, our amazing conference directors, Susan, Elise, and Tyler, and my position alongside past governors have prepared me to do my best work as your Tristar Governor for 2022. As your governor, I plan to focus on finding a solution to the ongoing struggle for Tennesseans to access healthcare, especially in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Tennessee ranks number 38 in the nation for healthcare access to its citizens. Seeing these statistics and the effects of this ongoing crisis on our state, we must create healthcare literacy that allows us to accommodate the needs of the majority. Along with this, I will push for an effective plan to support the relief for the COVID-19 pandemic, including quickly administering the COVID-19 vaccine until our entire state population is vaccinated, while continuing to respect the given CDC guidelines for social distancing and mask wearing. I also plan to address the housing crisis in Tennessee, which directly affects the rate of homelessness and the quality of life of our citizens. As governor, I will also push for an education reform that will create a positive impact for our students and educators. This past year has been a challenge for all of us, and some major issues have been called to our attention during this time. With your help and your exceptional work, we can put an end to these problems together. I cannot wait to connect with you all, and thank you for being the reason that YIG happens. Once again, my name is SIDDIQUI, and it would be an honor to be your next governor. Don't forget, use your bid, vote for Sid.
Fellow Tennesseans, my name is Chris YARBRO, and I'm running to be your governor. I'm confident that with my plan of action and the influence of each and every single one of you, we can achieve a better, stronger, and more just state. Now, what does a better state look like? A better state will lead the nation in education. A better state will end mass incarceration and create a justice system that treats all citizens as equal human beings. A better state is just. A better state is possible, and I want to achieve it with you. My platform contains 3 issues that will put us on track towards rebuilding a better Tennessee. First, we'll provide public preschool education for all children ages 4 to 5. Since 90% of brain development occurs before the age of 5, it is imperative that we invest in our children from the get-go. Second, we'll end mass incarceration by terminating cash bail, introducing alternatives to arrest, and investing in resources and partnerships that build healthier and safer communities. Thirdly, we will increase the quality of public health. 25% of Tennesseans do not have a doctor at the same time as a pandemic ravages the state. Through policies like Medicaid expansion, we will have a healthcare system that provides all Tennesseans with affordable and effective healthcare. While that may be my platform, I want to hear from you, the voters. After all, the best thing that you will take away from this conference isn't the ins and outs of parliamentary procedure or anything like that. What you will gain of value from this conference is the opportunity to establish a deeper understanding both of your ideas and of the ideas of others. And I encourage each and every one of you to seize that opportunity this week. Although we may not be together, that doesn't mean we can't come together. Good luck, delegates.
Once again, welcome to the Youth and Government Conference for 2021. Session begins at 4 p.m. Central Time today. So head over to your app to find your session and Zoom link on the schedule. We also recommend hopping on a couple minutes early to make sure your audio and video are working. If you're watching this early, you're also welcome to hop on the virtual luggage room session at 1:30 Central to test your equipment, your audio, your video, all that good stuff. Thank you for participating in Youth and Government this year, especially in a virtual year. We look forward to a wonderful weekend filled with debate, and we hope you take this opportunity to use your voice to make this state a better place. Delegates, unmute yourself.